When its name was whispered by sailors across the decks of the Pacific, they did so with awe and fear. To the Japanese Imperial Navy, it was the ghost that haunted the waves. And to its crew, it was both a floating fortress and a ticking clock. The USS Enterprise, code-named CV-6, was more than just an aircraft carrier. It was the most decorated warship in the entire United States Navy during World War II. Yet most Americans today don't even know its story. But once you hear what this ship endured, what it survived, you'll understand why the Japanese tried time and again to sink it. And failed. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might just change the way you look at naval warfare forever. It all began just days after Pearl Harbor. While most of the Pacific Fleet was burning or beneath the sea, the USS Enterprise was miraculously spared. Not by chance, but because it was out at sea, rushing to deliver planes to Wake Island. When the smoke cleared, the Enterprise didn't retreat, it charged straight into the fire. Within days, it was launching strikes against Japanese positions. But it wasn't just the ship's weapons that made it deadly, it was her spirit. Her crew knew they were outgunned, outnumbered, and isolated. And still, they pushed forward. One moment sealed its legend forever, the Battle of Midway. The Enterprise's pilots struck with such deadly precision that they destroyed 3 Japanese carriers in just minutes. It was surgical, ruthless, a turning point in the war. The Japanese Navy never fully recovered. But what most people don't know is that the Enterprise nearly didn't make it home. Kamikaze pilots struck it again and again. Fire tore through its decks. Bombs ripped steel like paper. At one point, the ship was so damaged, the Navy considered scrapping it entirely. But her crew, many just boys barely out of high school, refused to give up. They patched her, welded through the night, and got her back in the fight. Think about that. A single ship, hit more than any other carrier in the Pacific, refusing to die. That's not just engineering. That's defiance. That's why the Japanese Navy gave it a nickname no American ever expected. They called her the Gray Ghost. Because no matter how many times they tried to send her to the bottom of the ocean, she came back. But here's where it gets even more intense, what the Enterprise did in the final months of the war. No other ship dared to attempt. And it involved a near-suicidal mission into the heart of enemy-controlled waters, with Japanese submarines closing in, and a betrayal that would make even her own crew question everything. Before we get there, make sure you've subscribed, because in the next chapter, we reveal what made the USS Enterprise feared even more than a battleship, and the shocking truth that nearly erased her from American history forever. What made her feared wasn't just her guns or armor, it was what followed in her wake. Wherever the USS Enterprise sailed, defeat seemed to chase the enemy. At Midway, her planes delivered the knockout punches that crushed Japan's carrier force. At Guadalcanal, her presence became a symbol of unbreakable American resolve. And when she was hit, and she was hit many times, she always returned, repaired and ready, as if daring fate itself to try again. By the time she faced kamikaze strikes later in the war, her deck had become a graveyard for enemy pilots. Flames often engulfed her, but her crew fought back with a fury that shook the skies. One Japanese admiral, upon learning the Enterprise had returned to battle once again, whispered a stunned confession to his staff: "This ship is immortal." Viewers, if you're still here, what you're witnessing is not just a steel vessel cutting through water, it's the heartbeat of a generation that refused to surrender. Even when the war seemed unwinnable, the Enterprise stayed afloat. But what made her truly dangerous was the crew themselves, thousands of sailors, gunners, engineers, and pilots, each fighting not just with weapons, but with a stubborn belief that they could outlast anything. Their courage wasn't forged in moments of glory. It was hardened in long nights under red alerts, in cramped quarters choked with smoke, in whispered goodbyes before missions with no guarantee of return. As the Pacific theater dragged on and the list of her battles grew, Santa Cruz, Lady Gulf, Okinawa, the Japanese started to call her the Gray Ghost. They couldn't explain how she kept surviving. They couldn't comprehend how she always came back stronger. She became a legend that haunted them, and to this day, her story inspires generations who wonder what unbreakable courage really looks like. And when the war did finally end, it wasn't just her guns that silenced. It was the echo of every life she carried into the storm and brought home. The USS Enterprise wasn't just the most dangerous ship in World War II. She was a promise that America would never back down. So if you're watching this and wondering how one ship could carry a nation's hope, just remember this: sometimes steel wins battles, but stories like hers win hearts. If you felt chills watching the story of the Gray Ghost, the warship who wouldn't die, then hit the like button to honor those who served aboard her. Comment below, what part of Enterprise's legacy shocked you most? And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful WW2 tales which history books don't show you.